Om Jnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurinmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The whole matter is explained by the Lord Himself, and one who has no approach to the Lord in his personal feature can rarely understand the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam without being taught by the Bhagavats in the disciplic succession. That is the end of the purport by Srila Prabhupada to this verse. So, Prabhupada covers so many topics in this purport, and we have so little time to speak. But Prabhupada himself, Srila Prabhupada, sums up towards the end of the purport by saying that the conclusion is that the Supreme Lord should be glorified in all times, places, and circumstances. Kirtan is the natural function of the liberated soul. For the conditioned soul, he's in an unnatural state. So he has to inquire into that which is for his actual benefit. This verse, one of the 4 seed verses of the Bhagavatam, Chatushlok Bhagavatam, is describing what is to be asked about, what should be the subject matter of our inquiry. One should be inquisitive. Ke ami ke nayame jare ta patroy. Sanatana Goswami, Srila Prabhupada often used to quote this, approached Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the manner that an ideal disciple should approach a guru, asking the first basic question, who am I? Why am I suffering in this material world? This is the beginning of Brahma Jignasa, inquiry into the absolute truth. What do we start off with? Who am I? In what is sometimes called natural philosophy, it begins, natural philosophy, it's a Western system of philosophy that is supposed to be natural. What are the natural inquiries and the natural answers that we can attain? Not convoluted mental speculations, but what is the natural question and what is the natural answer? So natural question, we have to start off with ourselves. We are aware, if at all we start to inquire, the philosophical inquiry begins with awareness that we are aware, and therefore that we are living beings. But, alright, so I'm here, I'm something, I exist. But what am I? Who am I? What is my duty? And why do I suffer even though I don't want to suffer? I experience suffering. Why? So that is the beginning of inquiry into the absolute truth. And after going through many, many stages, Bahunam Janmanamante Gyanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha, one acquires knowledge at various levels. As Prabhupada mentions here, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Raja Yoga. And when one comes to the conclusion of all of this, one understands Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Vasudev, Krishna is all in all. And therefore, the conclusion is that he should always be glorified. We're suffering in this material world. Why? Because Krishna bhuli se jivana adi bahimuk atev maya tare deya shangshara dukh. Because we have forgotten Krishna and our duty to serve Him. We are since time immemorial suffering in this material world. The reason is that we have forgotten Krishna. So then we should remember Krishna and glorify Him. So there you are. There's philosophy class. All philosophy covered. From beginning to end. A to Z. Beginning, I am, I exist, I'm suffering. Why? In conclusion, glorify Krishna. So jumping over all the middle levels. That is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gift, as Srila Prabhupada once explained. That Prabhupada was explaining this verse, Bahunam Janmanam Ante, but he said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gives immediately. You don't have to go through many, many, many lives. Immediately, come to the conclusion. In Kali Yuga also, we don't have so much mental apparatus or intellectual ability to inquire into so many complexities of philosophical understanding. As Kali Yuga goes on, people become more and more dull-headed. So they're and sinful. And as one becomes sinful, his ability to appreciate philosophical subtleties becomes stunted. As one becomes interested simply in gross sense gratification. So if one is gross, he cannot appreciate the subtle. That's an axiom. So, people are very dull. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given the essence of all understanding. Bhaja Krishna, Bolo Krishna, Karo Krishna Shikha. To accept Krishna is the supreme and to glorify Him, to understand Him through Shastra, through the Amnaivani. Amnaivani means through Shastra and the explanations of Shastra given by the great Acharyas, which is just as good as Shastra, or maybe even more important than to us, the conditioned souls. How the Acharyas present Shastra is practically more important than Shastra, because as Prabhupada also mentions in this purport, you can read the book, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we understand it. It requires to be explained to us. And what is that? What is the essence of all the Shastra? Is it Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Raja Yoga? No, Bhakti Yoga. We should glorify Krishna. This is established in these 4 seed verses of Bhagavatam, that Krishna is supreme. The jiva has an eternal relationship with Him, and this relationship of service to Him, that is to be pursued by the conditioned soul, both directly and indirectly, in all times, places, and circumstances. So indirectly and directly, that can be understood in various ways also. One should directly engage in the activities of Bhakti Yoga, and also one's necessary duties within the material world, that should also be dovetailed in Krishna's service. So directly or indirectly, it means the focus of one's life, for everyone, should be searching out the personality of Godhead and one's relationship with Him. And when that is understood, then glorify Him. That is the natural function of the jiva, to glorify the Supreme Lord. Glorify Him and help others to come to the platform of understanding that they are also meant to glorify Him. That is kirtan. Kirtan means not just singing, but kirtan means to glorify the Supreme Lord among others in such a way that they also become inspired to glorify Him. Srila Prabhupada has taken so much trouble to write these books. You see so many pages purport he has given to a few verses in Bhagavatam, in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He's given long purports just to help us understand this subject matter in great detail, so that we can become fully convinced that our only duty of life is to engage in kirtan. Actual kirtan means without any personal desire. Actual kirtan means that when the singing stops, the service goes on. Not that we're enthusiastic in singing, and then after the singing's finished, we're not enthusiastic in service, but the sign that we're actually being blessed with the benefit of performing kirtan is that our enthusiasm to serve Krishna in various ways is manifested. So there's a lot to be said about this, but I'm not going to say more now, because most of the time the class went in reading the purport. If there's any question, you can please ask. Who would like to take the service of covering the Bhagavatam? It should have been done a long time ago. But we're supposed to worship the Bhagavatam, but you see how it's become all like this, not so nice. So if someone can cover this, who's going to do that? Anyone would like to do that? These are preliminaries. How much we are appreciating Bhagavatam. You can see some basic thing. The book should be kept nicely, not treated like some piece of garbage. Yeah. Question regarding the previous verse. Yeah. Doesn't make sense, does it, according to logic? That's stated by Lord Krishna himself, similarly in Bhagavad-gita. What's that verse that regarding himself, that he says, I myself also exist within everything created, and at the same time I'm outside of everything. What's that verse in Gita? Not that one. I'm just not remembering. Anyway, the purport is that the elements in their seed form, or in their the elements exist prior to the cosmic manifestation in the unmanifest form, and they become manifest. Earth, water, fire, air and ether, they become manifest in various forms, such as tables, chairs, trees, buildings and so on. So the building is made of primarily of the earth element. But at the same time, although it's constituted of the earth element, still the earth element is independent of that building. It's not that the earth element it's not dependent upon the form of the building to exist. So, although it gives itself to that building, it's not subject to that form, it's not dependent on that form, which is temporary also. It exists for a short time, and again it will be dissolved, but the earth element goes on existing. So it's there within, but at the same time it's not fully given itself to that particular form. And there are so many different forms in which earth is there. But still earth is independent of the various forms it may be shaped into. So we can understand earth is within the building. At the same time it's not fully within it, or it's not bound by it or constricted by it. It remains independent. So in the same way, Krishna says, I exist within everything, and at the same time I'm outside of everything. Krishna's within everything, but it's not that he's bound up or captured or subject to the material cosmos. He's always independent of it. So in this way, Krishna is within everything and outside of everything also. Subtle philosophy. That's it. Jagadavyakta murtina matsthani sarvabhuta nachaham teshravascha. It's Veda-Ved philosophy. It's right there in the Bhagavad-gita.
Searching supremely, space and time.
Sorry?
In translation, it is given space and time.
Yeah. Yat syat sarvatra sarvada means sarvatra means everywhere. It means within space. And sarvada means always, in all time. So it means that it's emphasizing that this is the duty of one who is inquisitive. When we realize that there's no other purpose in life than to inquire about the absolute truth, then we should realize that this has priority over everything in all times, places and circumstances. It's emphasizing that nothing else is important. Therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he once said to someone that you should hear Hari Katha, just go on hearing. And if you say that, well, my son is about to die, I say let him die, but go on hearing. Don't stop hearing. So that sounds extreme, doesn't it? He's underlining the importance of hearing about Krishna. It's so important that we have to hear. He would speak 6 hours sometimes. Not sometimes, regularly. Not many stayed to listen, it seems, all the time. All right, please take the book for binding, and when you get onto the next canto, please bind it up properly before you start using it. We have to respect the Bhagavatam. It begins with the form in which it comes. Where's this book? That looks better. That's new. You should wrap it in plastic or paper or something. Otherwise it becomes like this and worse. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam.